Welcome to Williamsburgh Housing Association. You are being sent this video as you have been offered a home with our association. If you accept the offer, you will be required to sign a Scottish Secure Tenancy Agreement at your appointment to view the property. This is a legally binding document between you and us. You should keep it safe. I will now go on to explain key points of the tenancy agreement, as it is essential that you understand it before signing. The tenancy agreement is broken down into 10 sections. Let's begin with Section 1, the introduction. This contains your name and any joint tenant's name, the address of the property, the start date of your tenancy, and the rent due. Your rent is due monthly in advance on or before the 28th day of the month. If any other services are provided, such as close cleaning, they will be detailed on the schedule that will be attached to your tenancy agreement. If we have to increase your rent or service charges, we will consult with you beforehand and provide you with at least 4 weeks' notice of any increase being applied. If you break any part of the agreement, we may take legal action against you, including eviction. Section 2. Use of the house and the common parts and telling us about changes to who is living in your home. You must take entry to the house, occupy and furnish it, and use it solely as your only or principal home. You must also tell us who is living in the house, including when anyone moves in or out. If you're planning to go on holiday beforehand, you must check that there is no risk of damage from fire, water or gas supplies in your house. You must tell us if you intend to go away for more than 4 weeks and your house will be unoccupied during that time. You or anyone living with you must not run any kind of business from the house. If you would like to keep an animal, you must obtain our permission. You must not use or allow the house to be used for illegal or immoral purposes. This includes dealing in controlled drugs. If your property is within a tenement close, you must take your turn of sweeping and washing the stairs and landings if this is not provided as a service. If you have exclusive use of a garden, you must keep it neat and tidy. Due to safety concerns, the storage or use of paraffin, LPG, or other explosive or inflammable substances is not permitted in the house or in any of the common parts. We'll now move on to Section 3, Respect for Others. Make sure that you and your household and your visitors must not harass or act in any antisocial manner or pursue a course of antisocial conduct against any person in the neighbourhood. Such people include residents, visitors, our employees, and contractors. Everyone must not make excessive noise, fail to control your animal properly, or cause damage to our property. Everyone must not leave rubbish in unauthorised places, allow your children to cause nuisance or annoyance, harass or assault anyone. Everyone must not use or carry offensive weapons, use or sell unlawful drugs or alcohol. Firearms and ammunition are prohibited in the home unless you hold a permit. If you have a complaint about nuisance, annoyance or harassment being caused by a neighbour or anyone living with them or their visitors, you can report it to us and we will investigate it. We'll now go on to Section 4, Subletting, Assignation, Joint Tenancy and Exchange of your tenancy. If you would like to take in a lodger, add a joint tenant to the tenancy, sublet part or all of your house, assign the tenancy over, carry out a mutual exchange, or give up possession. You must first get our written permission. To sublet, assign, or add a joint tenant onto your tenancy agreement, the house must have been the only or principal home of the person nominated for at least 12 months immediately before the date of your written request. And you, a joint tenant, or the person you now wish to sublet, assign, or become a joint tenant, must have notified us of them moving into the house. We will not unreasonably refuse permission unless certain criteria has not been met. We'll now go on to Section 5, Repairs, Maintenance, Improvements and Alterations. Before the start of your tenancy, we will inspect your house to ensure that it is wind and watertight, habitable and fit for human habitation. If repair or other work needs to be done to bring the house up to that standard, we will do so before your tenancy begins. We will notify you about any such work. Any other repairs may be carried out after the tenancy begins. We'll continue to maintain your home throughout your tenancy. It is your duty to report repairs as soon as possible. We will then carry out all repairs within a reasonable time and standard. We will inspect annually any gas installations in the house provided by us. We will provide you with a copy of the inspection report within 28 days of the inspection. If the inspection reveals the need for repair or replacement of any such installation, we will do so within a reasonable period. We will give you a copy of the current inspection record before the beginning of the tenancy. If your house is served by a communal TV aerial provided by us, we will take reasonable steps to repair any defect within a reasonable period. Nothing contained in this agreement makes us responsible for repairing damage caused willfully, accidentally by you, anyone living with you, or an invited visitor to your house. If we decide to carry out the work, you must pay us for the cost of the repair. We will carry out necessary repairs due to fire, flood or act of God within a reasonable time or offer equivalent permanent rehousing as soon as such house becomes available. Until that time, we will try to help you to get temporary accommodation. We have the right to come into your house to inspect it and its fixtures and fittings or carry out repairs to it or adjoining house during reasonable times of the day. We will give you at least 24 hours notice in writing. We have the right of access to your house in order to lay wires, cables and pipes for the purpose of telecommunications, water, gas, electricity, providing we give you reasonable notice in writing. We have the right of access to the common parts at any reasonable time of the day. If you refuse us entry, we will have the right to make forcible entry, provided we have given you reasonable opportunity to let us in voluntarily. You are responsible for taking reasonable care of the house. This responsibility includes carrying out minor repairs and internal decoration. It also includes keeping the house in a reasonable state of cleanliness. However, you are not responsible for carrying out repairs which are due to fair wear and tear. You must get a written permission if you want to alter, improve or enlarge the house, add any fittings or fixtures such as kitchen, bathroom, central heating installation, put up a garage, shed or other structure, or decorate the outside of the house. We will not refuse permission unreasonably. We may grant permission with conditions, including conditions of the standard of the work. Section 6. Ending the tenancy. Your tenancy can be ended in any one of the following ways. By notice. You will give us at least 28 days notice. You must tell us at the same time if you're married, in a civil partnership, or if you live in the house with another person as spouses. If you do, their agreement may also be required. By written agreement between you and us. You must tell us at the same time if you are married, in a civil partnership, or if you live in the house with another person as spouses. If you do, their agreement may also be required. The Sheriff grants an order for eviction following a request by us. You have a right to defend any legal action taken by us against you. We may ask you for such an order under Section 14 of the Housing Scotland Act 2001 on any of the following grounds contained within Schedule 2 of the Act. By abandonment. We will give you at least 4 weeks' notice if we believe you have abandoned the house. If at the end of that period we have reasonable grounds for believing you have abandoned the house, we may repossess it by service or another service. By death. By your death if the tenancy does not pass to someone else. By conversion to a short Scottish secure tenancy. We may do this if an antisocial behaviour order has been made against you or anyone living with you, or if we believe that you or anyone living with you or visiting you has been acting in an antisocial manner, or pursuing a course of conduct amounting to harassment in the previous 3 years. We may serve a notice on you converting your tenancy to a short Scottish secure tenancy. Abandonment by a joint tenant. If we have reasonable grounds for believing that a joint tenant has abandoned the house, we may give that tenant 4 weeks' notice. If we're satisfied on reasonable grounds at the end of the 4-week period that the joint tenant has abandoned the house, we may serve another notice. This second notice will terminate that joint tenant's interest in the tenancy in not less than 8 weeks. That second notice will not, however, terminate the tenancy, which will continue. A joint tenant may at any time end their interest in the tenancy of the house by giving 4 weeks written notice to us and to the other joint tenant. That notice will not, however, terminate the tenancy, which will continue. Before moving out your house, you must do the following. Leave the house in a clean and tidy condition. Remove all your belongings. Make sure any lodgers or subtenants leave with you. Allow us access to your house before you move out to carry out a pre-termination inspection. Hand in all your keys to our office. Remove any fixtures and fittings you have installed without our written permission and put right any damage caused. Check with us to make sure that you have paid all payments due to us. Apply for any compensation you may be entitled to. Leave the house in good decorative order. Do the repairs you are obliged to do. Provide us with a forwarding address unless there is a good reason not to. Section 7. After the tenant's death. If you die, the tenancy may be inherited by one of the following people. Your spouse, civil partner or cohabitee if the house was their only or principal home on your death, or a joint tenant if the house was their only or principal home on your death. If no one qualifies at level 1 or a qualified person does not want the tenancy, it may be inherited by a member of your family, as long as they are aged at least 16 at the date of death, the house was their only or principal home at the date of death. If no one qualifies at level 1 or level 2, or a qualified person does not want the tenancy, it will be inherited by a carer, as long as he or she is aged at least 16 at the date of death, the house was their only or principal home at the date of death, he or she gave up another only or principal home before the death of the tenant, he or she is providing support for the tenant or a family member. There are new notification and residency requirements that have to be met for someone to inherit your tenancy. They must have occupied the house as their only or principal home for at least 12 months immediately before your death. The 12-month period cannot begin unless we have been told that the individual is living in the house as their only or principal home. We must have been told that by you, a joint tenant, or the person who wishes to succeed the tenancy. The length of time they have been living in the house starts from the date we are notified that the person is living in the house as their only or principal home. If more than one person qualifies for the tenancy, they must decide amongst themselves who should get the tenancy. If they cannot agree, we will decide. Section 8. Information and consultation. You are entitled under the General Data Protection Regulation to access personal data we hold on you and our housing files. On request, we will provide you with information relating to the terms of your tenancy, our policy and procedures on setting rent and service charges, our policy and rules about admission to the housing lists, allocations, transfer of tenants between houses, exchanges of houses between our tenants and tenants of other landlords, as well as repairs and maintenance, our tenant participation strategy, our arrangement for taking decisions about housing management and services. We will consult you about making or changing policies regarding housing management, repairs and maintenance if the proposal is likely to significantly affect you, proposals for changes in rent and service charges where they affect all or a class of tenants and you are to be affected, proposals for the sale or transfer of your house to another landlord, decisions about the information to be provided relating to our standards of housing management and performance, performance standards or targets in relation to housing management repairs and maintenance, and our tenant participation strategy. We will take into account any views that you have before making a final decision. Any consultation with you will include giving you comprehensive information in an accessible form and reasonable time to express any views. Section 9. Complaints. If you think that we have broken the agreement or have failed to do anything we promised, you can complain to us under the complaints procedure, which we will have made available to you. If you're still dissatisfied after going through our complaints procedure, you may also have the right to complain to the Ombudsman. You may also wish to take advice from an independent source, such as a law centre, solicitor, housing advice centre, Citizens Advice Bureau or Tenants Association. Final section, Section 10, General Provisions. Where this agreement requires you to obtain our permission for anything, you must make your request in writing. We will not refuse the request unreasonably. If you want to send any form of document to us, it will be sufficient if you send or deliver it to us at our office. If we want to give you any document, We will deliver it to you, leave it at your last known address, or send it by recorded delivery to your last known address. We will assume that this is your current address and that all documents to you should be sent there unless you tell us that you want anything to be sent to another address. Completion of this agreement. By signing the tenancy agreement, you are completing a legally binding contract committing you to all of the terms of the agreement. This agreement does not terminate any existing tenancy. The terms and conditions of the agreement replace the terms and conditions under any other tenancy agreement that you had with us. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. And we hope you enjoy your new Williamsburgh home. You'll find lots of useful information on our website www.williamsburgha.co.uk and also on our new app Williamsburgh Housing. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube.